This episode begins with events from the past in the year 447 according to the Holy God calendar year. It was an era of myths where gods, spirits, and magic ruled the world. There was a last demon lord in power at that time, named Leonis Death Magnus. The battle between the demon lord's forces and the six heroes was inevitable. The human forces and the demon lord's forces waged war against each other, and many of them fell. Inside the castle, a maid was seen reporting the events to the demon lord, stating that the lord of the underworld, the Dark Dragon Mountains, and the lord of the sea had been defeated. And now, the six heroes were focusing their attack on the castle he inhabited. A wolf beside the maid also mentioned that the goblin Lord Dizulf and the beast Lord Gazoth had been defeated some time ago, and this fortress, Deathhold, was the only one left. Outside the castle, there was a relentless onslaught from the human forces storming the last demon lord's castle. Leonis, the demon lord himself, was extremely angry and had intended to retaliate against them, but the wolf advised him against fighting as he was the last remaining demon lord. The wolf also stated that the goddess of rebellion did not want the demon lord to fall here either. The demon lord listened to the wolf's advice and mentioned that he had almost forgotten his promise to Roselia, the goddess of rebellion. The demon lord finally abandoned his intention to counterattack. Outside the castle, the humans continued to attack, and the demon lord's castle was on the verge of collapsing. Leonis, the demon lord, finally admitted defeat. He walked down the stairs to the underground chamber and promised that in 1,000 years he would reclaim his throne because he was the undead king. Then the scene shifts to the present, where two women stand at the entrance of a skull-shaped ruin. They are tasked with investigating the ruins, which were exposed due to an earthquake, as it is suspected to be a void nest. They enter the ruins and find no magical anomalies. The silver-haired woman is named Celia, while the blonde woman is named Regina. Regina reminds Celia not to go too deep, but Celia refuses the advice, stating that void nests are usually found in underground ruins and they must locate and eradicate them before they cause chaos. Then, after a long walk, both of them passed through a corridor where many monster statues were present. Celia believed that these statues were grave goods, personal items buried alongside the deceased. Hearing this, Regina thought that perhaps a highly influential king was buried there. As they approached a massive door, their magical device signaled the presence of magical energy. Regina tried to push the door, but her efforts were in vain. Regina contemplated blowing up the door to open it, but then Celia noticed an ancient inscription there. Celia immediately took out her cell phone and photographed the inscription. Celia attempted to decipher the writing, while Regina was growing impatient waiting for Celia to solve it. Regina decided to explore the surroundings while waiting for Celia to crack the code. Celia felt like she had seen the writing before, and as she reached out to touch it, the large door reacted and opened on its own. As the door opened, torches inside the room suddenly lit up, as if welcoming Celia's arrival. Celia entered the room cautiously. Inside the room, Celia saw a large crystal and noticed that there was someone inside the crystal. Celia decided to try and rescue the person trapped within the crystal. The scene then shifted to the past, where the demon lord met Roselia. When the demon lord greeted Roselia, she only said, "A millennium from now, when the stars fall from the heavens." The sentence was continued by the demon lord, "A vessel for your power shall appear in the form of a human child, and it's my duty to find them." After hearing the demon lord finish the sentence, Roselia just smiled and suddenly leaped towards a cliff, saying, "Come and find me." The scene returned to the present. Celia was trying to break the crystal by shooting at it. The demon lord woke up due to the noise, looking out from the crystal. He couldn't believe why there was a woman who could enter there, as the place should have been sealed and inaccessible. The demon lord then realized that the reincarnation ritual he had performed had apparently succeeded, and it had been 1,000 years since the ritual was conducted. Celia's efforts proved futile. The demon lord assumed Celia was a grave robber, and he, a male, became angry. With his power, he shattered the crystal. Celia was thrown back and lost consciousness. The demon lord walked out of the crystal ruin and approached the unconscious Celia. He looked at Celia and admired her beauty. Celia woke up from her unconscious state and looked towards the demon lord, who now appeared to have the body of a young child. The demon lord was surprised and thought that his reincarnation ritual had failed. He was shocked because his current form resembled the body he had when he was known as Leonis the hero. Unexpectedly, Celia hugged him tightly and tried to comfort him. Unconsciously, the demon lord couldn't keep his eyes open, and he fell asleep in Celia's embrace. Not long after, Celia and the demon lord were seen sitting together, sharing the food and drink Celia had brought. The Demon Lord still couldn't accept his current form, realizing that he had fainted earlier simply due to hunger, which was quite embarrassing for a Demon Lord. The Demon Lord felt indebted to Celia for sharing her meal with him. While eating, Celia introduced herself, and the Demon Lord introduced himself using his former name, Leonis Magnus, claiming to be 10 years old. Celia thought it was unlikely that a child like him had come to the ruins on his own and suspected that Leonis might have been kidnapped and held captive by the Void. Leonis then asked, "What is Void?" because he had no knowledge of it. Celia assumed that Leonis might be suffering from amnesia due to the impact he had experienced earlier. Celia explained that Voids were the enemies of humans who suddenly appeared about 64 years ago. Humans didn't know what Voids were or what they wanted. Rumors suggested that Voids came from another world, but that was just one of many possibilities. That's why humans refer to them as Voids, meaning nothingness. Leonis then realized that he hadn't asked an important question, which was the current year. Leonis thought that if he had indeed reincarnated after 1,000 years, it should be the year 1447 in the Holy God calendar. Celia was a bit puzzled by the Holy God calendar, but she then replied that it was currently the year 64 in the Unified Human Calendar. Now, Leonis was confused about the term Unified Human Calendar. As they both fell silent, a loud rumbling sound could be heard, and Celia received a report from Regina that she had detected the presence of a colossal Void and was currently battling it. Suddenly, an ogre-class Void managed to enter, destroying the large wall in front of them. Celia attempted to attack the Void with her shots, but her efforts were in vain. Seeing the Void getting closer, Leonis prepared to attack it, but unfortunately, his feet got caught in his oversized clothing, causing Leonis to tumble to the ground. He grumbled about being reincarnated into a small and weak human body. Celia tried to protect Leonis and told him to stay behind her. As the Void got closer, there was a sudden shot from the side that successfully destroyed its arm. It turned out to be a shot from Regina. Regina entered the room and continued to shoot at the Void with her firearm. Regina then ordered Celia and Leo to leave the ruins, saying that she would handle the Void herself. Celia agreed, and together with Leo, they headed towards the exit. Leo could have easily taken care of the Void on his own, but he wanted to stay with Celia because he considered her his source of information. As they both ran out, another Void suddenly appeared in front of them, a Wyvern-class Void. Leo was already prepared to use some of his power to eliminate the Void when Celia tried to protect him by pushing him backward, preventing him from using his strength. The Void suddenly swung its arm and attacked Celia, hitting her in the stomach. Celia fell, covered in blood. Leo could only gaze at Celia, who was dying. In her final moments, Celia apologized to Leo for not being able to protect him and instructed him to find Regina and leave the ruins. Leo regretted the incident. Although he had considered Celia only as a source of information, deep down, he had developed feelings for her. It was then that Leo unleashed his true power and easily eliminated the Void. After his actions, Leo realized that with his small body, he could now only use 1/3 of his full strength. A few moments later, Leo returned to Celia, who was unconscious with a wound on her abdomen. Leo mentioned that human lives meant nothing to him, but he appreciated Celia for her kindness. With his abilities, Leo attempted to heal Celia to the best of his abilities. While performing the healing ritual, a mark appeared on Celia's thigh but then disappeared, which Leo ignored. On the other side, Regina managed to defeat the Void she was facing and tried to contact Celia using a magical device resembling an earring on Celia's ear. Celia was still unconscious and Leo heard Regina's call but didn't know how to use the magical device. Leo was also impressed, realizing that humans had developed such complex magical technology. Shortly after, Celia woke up and upon seeing Leo still safe, immediately hugged him. Celia was puzzled by her condition, as she had survived a fairly fatal attack from the Void. Leo then explained that he had used a healing spell on her. Upon hearing this, Celia became confused by the term magic that Leo mentioned. It was at that moment that Leo realized that Celia and her friend relied solely on magical technology, but had no knowledge of what magic itself was. Celia thought what Leo had done was some kind of holy sword. She then explained that after the appearance of the Voids decades earlier, at the same time, children with special abilities emerged. Some of these powers took the form of weapons, and people began to call them holy swords. Regina was one such example. Celia also revealed that she had been blessed with a holy sword. While they were conversing, Regina suddenly arrived, calling for Celia and inquiring about her condition. They then headed out of the ruins and prepared to return using the vehicle they had brought. Celia invited Leo to ride with her. As the vehicle sped away, Regina introduced herself to Leo as Regina Mercedes, a maid serving Celia. When Regina introduced herself, Leo was instead focused on looking at Regina's chest. Regina noticed and teased Celia about it, as it seemed that Leo was acting a bit perverted for someone his age. During the journey, Regina continued to playfully tease Leo. Before long, they reached a modern, bustling city named the Seventh Assault Garden, a place specifically built to withstand and fight against the Voids. Leo was deeply impressed by the magnificence of the city and thought that this was the civilization of the future after 1,000 years of his slumber.